You've been told nuts are healthy. But what if the wrong kind could silently sabotage your heart, spike your blood pressure, or dull your memory, while you believe you're doing your body good? Here's the reality. Not all nuts were created equal. And in aging bodies, the wrong pick can do more harm than skipping them altogether. In the next few minutes, we'll unpack 4 popular nuts you should avoid and reveal 4 science-backed superfoods your brain, bones, and blood vessels will thank you for, including one surprising pick that's not a nut at all, but works better than most. If you're over 55, your body isn't just getting older, it's getting pickier. Nutrients that once helped you now compete with medications, aging organs, and slower digestion. So when you reach for a healthy snack like a handful of mixed nuts, you could be feeding the very problems you're trying to fix: inflammation, arterial plaque, kidney strain, even cognitive fog. But here's the good news. New clinical research shows that switching out just 2 common nuts for smarter alternatives can lead to measurable improvements in blood sugar control, memory recall, joint comfort, and sleep quality in as little as 30 days. In this video, you'll discover the 4 most overrated nuts that are secretly harming seniors' health, the 4 underrated choices that fight aging at the cellular level, how to choose, store, and eat these smart picks the right way for maximum effect. This isn't another eat more almonds list. This is science-forward, age-specific nutritional strategy you won't hear in the supermarket aisle or from your average wellness YouTuber. 1. Cashews, the sweet trap masquerading as healthy. They're buttery, smooth, and often labeled as heart-friendly. But for aging bodies, cashews are a nutritional bait-and switch, delivering more risk than reward beneath that glossy surface. Let's break it down. At first glance, cashews appear mild, but each ounce packs over 9 grams of fast-absorbing carbohydrates, which may not mean much to a 25-year-old athlete, but to someone over 60 with slower insulin response, it's an open invitation for blood sugar spikes and afternoon crashes. Even more concerning, cashews are loaded with oxalates, crystalline compounds that bind to calcium in your gut. Over time, they can accumulate in the kidneys, laying the groundwork for painful stones and impaired mineral absorption. If you're already managing osteoporosis or taking calcium supplements, this is a hidden landmine. And here's the kicker: cashews aren't even nutritionally dense enough to justify the risk. Compared to walnuts or almonds, they're low in fiber, low in omega-3s, and stripped of antioxidants. You're left with a sweet-tasting filler that bloats your daily carb count without offering protection against aging's real threats: inflammation, neurodegeneration, and vascular stiffness. 2. Peanuts, the common snack that's anything but harmless. They're everywhere in trail mix, protein bars, vending machines, and pantry jars across America. But peanuts are not what you think they are, and for seniors, they're more toxic than tasty. Here's the hard truth: peanuts aren't nuts. They're legumes, and that subtle botanical difference matters. Because legumes grow underground, they're uniquely vulnerable to aflatoxins, toxic compounds produced by mold Aspergillus flavus that thrive in warm, humid storage. Even trace amounts of aflatoxins have been linked to liver cell damage, immune suppression, and long-term cancer risk, particularly in older adults whose detoxification pathways have already slowed. But that's just the beginning. Peanuts also come loaded with omega-6 fatty acids, and not the good kind. In small amounts, omega-6 is essential. But when it outweighs omega-3 intake, as it does in the typical Western diet, it fuels a chronic inflammatory state, the biological root of arthritis, heart disease, and cognitive decline. For people over 60, this imbalance is dangerous, and peanuts add gasoline to the fire. Still not convinced? Peanuts contain lectins, proteins that may trigger low-grade immune reactions in the gut lining, worsening leaky gut and systemic inflammation. And if you're on blood thinners like warfarin, peanuts introduce another hazard. They're naturally high in vitamin K, which can interfere with the medication's effectiveness and increase your stroke risk without warning. Let's not even begin with commercial peanut butter, packed with hydrogenated oils which raise LDL cholesterol, spiked with added sugar that destabilizes blood sugar, and laced with sodium that quietly raises blood pressure. So what's the verdict? Peanuts are cheap, accessible, and familiar. But for aging bodies, they're a low-cost, high-risk snack that contributes to inflammation, interferes with medication, and offers none of the neuroprotective, heart-supporting benefits of true nuts. In short, they don't belong in your cart or your bloodstream. Add to that their soft, slick shape, which makes them easy to aspirate for seniors with swallowing difficulties, and you've got a snack that's deliciously deceptive. What no one tells you: most commercial cashews are roasted in refined oils that are already oxidized. Many are heavily salted, compounding hypertension risks. And during harvesting, the toxic compound urushiol, yes, the same found in poison ivy, is removed through heat treatment, a process that can degrade nutrient value. Final word: cashews aren't evil, but they're poorly matched to the physiology of aging. And when you're 60 plus, every bite should either heal or harm. Cashews fall squarely in the latter. 3. Macadamia nuts, the luxury fat bomb disguised as heart food. Elegant, rich, silky, macadamias have the branding of a health indulgence, the butter of nuts. But for aging bodies, that luxury comes at a steep physiological cost. Let's start with the basics. Macadamias are the most calorie-dense nut on the market. A single ounce delivers nearly 200 calories and 22 grams of fat, and not the kind your arteries love. Roughly 20% of that fat is saturated, enough to raise LDL bad cholesterol levels in older adults already at risk of heart disease. But it's natural fat, you might think. True, but that doesn't mean it's harmless. After age 60, bile production slows, gallbladder efficiency drops, and fat digestion becomes harder. High-fat foods like macadamias can overwhelm sluggish systems, triggering bloating, indigestion, or even gallbladder flare-ups, especially in the 15–20% of seniors with undiagnosed gallstones. Then there's the dental risk. Macadamias are deceptively dense and firm, posing a mechanical threat to aging teeth. Crowns, bridges, and enamel weakened by decades of acidic exposure don't hold up well to repeated pressure. One wrong bite, and it's a visit to the dentist you didn't budget for. But perhaps the most overlooked danger: satiety failure. Macadamia's smooth, subtle flavor makes them dangerously easy to overeat. They're less satisfying than almonds or walnuts, which means you can down hundreds of calories before your brain even registers fullness. A serious problem when metabolic rate drops 20–25% with age. And in many store-bought versions, they come salted, oil-roasted, and preserved, further loading the cardiovascular burden with sodium and oxidized fats. Final analysis: macadamias are luxurious, but they're nutritional landmines for older adults. They offer minimal fiber, negligible antioxidants, and excessive fat with little upside. If you're over 60, there are far better ways to treat yourself without overworking your gallbladder, teeth, or arteries. 4 pine nuts, the silent medication disruptor. They're tiny, delicate, almost too subtle to be dangerous. But make no mistake, pine nuts are one of the most deceptive ingredients in a senior's pantry, not because they taste bad, but because they quietly interfere with how your body works. Let's start with the most insidious issue: Drug interactions. Over 60% of adults over 65 take 5 or more medications daily, from statins and blood pressure pills to antidepressants and anti-inflammatories. And pine nuts. They contain polyunsaturated fats and plant sterols that, in some individuals, disrupt how the liver metabolizes certain drugs. That means your prescriptions might work too well or not at all, turning carefully managed blood pressure or mood regulation into chaos. But it doesn't stop there. Ever heard of pine mouth syndrome? It's a rare but real condition caused by eating certain species of pine nuts, especially those imported from China or Southeast Asia. Within 1 to 3 days, you develop a metallic, bitter taste that lingers in your mouth for up to 2 weeks, distorting all flavors and making eating unenjoyable. In seniors where appetite already declines due to aging, this can trigger unintended weight loss, malnutrition, and muscle wasting. Then comes the oxidation issue. Pine nuts are extremely rich in polyunsaturated fats, which oxidize quickly when exposed to air, light, or heat. Oxidized fats produce inflammatory byproducts that aggravate conditions like arthritis, heart disease, and neurodegeneration. Precisely, the conditions older adults are trying to manage or prevent. And due to their slippery texture and small size, pine nuts are also a choking hazard for those with diminished saliva production or impaired swallowing, a common side effect of over 400 medications. To summarize, they can interfere with your medications. They can make food taste like metal for weeks. They go rancid quickly, and they offer very little in terms of fiber, antioxidants, or protective compounds. Elegant? Yes. Safe? No. For seniors, pine nuts are a boutique ingredient better left to garnish someone else's plate. Walnuts, the cognitive shield for aging minds. If one nut deserves the title brain food, it's the walnut, not just because it resembles the human brain, but because it protects it at the cellular level. Here's what sets walnuts apart. They're the richest common nut source of alpha-linolenic acid, ALA, a plant-based omega-3 that acts as a natural insulator for nerve cells. As we age, the myelin sheath around neurons starts to thin, slowing down thought processing, memory retrieval, and even emotional regulation. Walnuts help rebuild that insulation, enhancing cognitive speed, clarity, and recall. A major 2020 study in the Journal of Nutrition, Health and Aging found that older adults who consumed just 13 grams of walnuts daily for 8 weeks experienced measurable improvements in working memory and mental flexibility. 2 cognitive domains that typically decline first in neurodegenerative disease. But the benefits don't stop at the skull. Walnuts are also packed with polyphenols that reduce neuroinflammation, a key driver behind Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia. And they contain melatonin, which supports deep sleep, a vital, yet often disrupted function in older adults. Better sleep means better memory consolidation, hormone balance, and emotional resilience. What makes them senior-friendly? Soft enough to chew for most, yet dense enough to be satisfying. Unlike harder nuts, they rarely chip dental work. Easy to incorporate into meals, sprinkle on oatmeal, blend into smoothies, or snack straight from the fridge. Storage tip: walnuts go rancid quickly due to their delicate oils. Store them in the refrigerator and consume within 3-4 weeks of opening for optimal freshness. Final takeaway: walnuts aren't just good for your brain, they're a strategic daily defense against age-related cognitive decline. Think of them as edible insurance for memory, mood, and mental longevity. 2. Almonds, the bone builder with cardiovascular backup. You've heard almonds are heart-healthy, but for older adults, their greatest power may lie below the surface in your bones. Here's why. After age 60, your skeleton enters a quiet crisis. Bone density drops, calcium absorption slows, the risk of fractures, particularly hip and spine, surges, but almonds bring a triple-layered defense. 1. Calcium and magnesium synergy. Just a quarter cup of almonds provides around 97 mg of calcium. But more importantly, it delivers magnesium, the mineral that escorts calcium into your bones and prevents it from calcifying in your arteries. That's a dual win: stronger bones and clearer vessels. 2. Vitamin E with skin-deep and heart-deep impact. Almonds are the richest nut source of natural vitamin E, a powerful antioxidant that shields cells from oxidative stress, including the delicate endothelium lining your arteries. Vitamin E also supports skin elasticity, immune resilience, and even cognitive protection, making almonds a full-body benefit in every bite. 3. Flavonoids in the skin, the forgotten factor. Most people peel almonds or buy them blanched, but the skin contains flavonoids that, when combined with vitamin E, double the nut's antioxidant activity. So for maximum benefit, always eat them with the skin on raw or dry roasted. Bonus benefit for digestion. Almonds provide 3-5 grams of fiber per ounce, which helps combat age-related constipation, a condition that affects up to 40% of older adults. They also support the growth of beneficial gut bacteria, which in turn modulates mood, metabolism, and even immune response. Cautions. For seniors with difficulty swallowing or missing teeth, whole almonds can pose a choking hazard. Solution: soak them overnight to soften or crush into almond butter with no additives. Avoid salted or honey-roasted varieties. The sodium and sugar undo all the benefits. Final word: almonds aren't trendy, they're timeless. A daily handful supports your skeletal system, your circulatory system, and your immune defenses, all in one elegant, evidence-based snack. 3. Pistachios, the blood pressure regulator with built-in vision insurance. They're the quiet overachiever of the nut world, and one of the most underappreciated allies for anyone over 60. Pistachios do more than just crunch. They stabilize pressure, sharpen vision, and regulate blood sugar, all in one brightly colored shell. Let's start with what matters most after midlife: blood pressure. Each ounce of pistachios contains about 285 mg of potassium, a mineral most seniors are chronically deficient in. Potassium is essential for balancing sodium, relaxing blood vessels, and keeping your systolic pressure in check. Unlike most prescription drugs, pistachios lower blood pressure gently and without side effects, a benefit confirmed in multiple trials, including one published in Hypertension Journal. Next, the eyes. Age-related macular degeneration, AMD, is the leading cause of blindness in adults over 60. Pistachios are rich in lutein and zeaxanthin, two carotenoids that directly protect the macula, the part of your retina responsible for central vision. Most nuts have almost none of these compounds. Pistachios are the rare exception. Now let's talk digestion and diabetes. Pistachios offer 3 grams of fiber per ounce, which helps stabilize blood sugar and prevent post-meal spikes. This is crucial, considering that nearly 1 in 4 Americans over 65 lives with diabetes, and even more with prediabetes. Pistachios help flatten the glucose curve without flattening your energy. Unique senior-friendly trait: they're naturally softer than almonds or macadamias, making them easier on dental work. And because they're often sold in shell, they slow your eating speed, helping prevent overeating while engaging your senses. In fact, studies show that people consume 41% fewer calories when snacking on in-shell pistachios versus shelled ones, simply because they become more mindful. How to shop smart. Choose unsalted or lightly salted pistachios. Opt for those with partially open shells, known as smiling pistachios. They're easier to crack and gentler on arthritic fingers. Store them in a cool, dark place to preserve their delicate oils and antioxidants. Final takeaway. Pistachios offer an ideal intersection of flavor, function, and form, reducing blood pressure, protecting vision, and managing blood sugar in a way that feels effortless and tastes indulgent. If there's a desert island nut for people over 60, this is it. 4 flax seeds, the micro superfood that does more than most nuts. They may be tiny, but flax seeds operate on a molecular level, influencing hormones, inflammation, cholesterol, and even cancer risk. For older adults, they're not just a seed. They're a strategy. Let's start with the science. Flax seeds are the richest known plant source of lignans, powerful polyphenols that act as natural hormone modulators. In women, they help ease the hormonal fluctuations of postmenopause. In men, they've been shown to help balance testosterone and lower prostate cancer risk. In both, they regulate estrogen metabolism, which becomes increasingly erratic with age. But flax's benefits don't stop at the endocrine system. They're also loaded with ALA, alpha-linolenic acid, a type of omega-3 that fights systemic inflammation, the root cause of heart disease, arthritis, cognitive decline, and more. Unlike fish oil, ALA doesn't oxidize as easily in the gut, making it ideal for older adults with slower digestion or gallbladder insufficiency. Need help with digestion? 2 tablespoons of ground flaxseed provide over 5 grams of soluble fiber, the kind that softens stool, balances blood sugar, and feeds your gut microbiome. This makes flax a natural ally against constipation, a problem that silently affects nearly half of seniors and often goes untreated. And cholesterol. A 2015 study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition showed that flaxseed supplementation reduced LDL, bad cholesterol, by up to 20% in older adults, rivaling some prescription medications, without the side effects. But here's the catch. Your body can't access any of this nutrition from whole seeds. To unlock the benefits, flax must be ground, fresh if possible, and consumed raw or gently stirred into cold or lukewarm foods. Avoid baking or boiling, which can damage the omega-3s. Smart ways to use flax: stir into morning oatmeal or yogurt, blend into smoothies, sprinkle over soups or roasted vegetables just before serving. Storage tip. Because ground flax spoils quickly, keep it in an airtight container in the fridge. Better yet, buy whole seeds and grind a small amount each week. Final word, flax seeds aren't flashy. They don't come in shiny packages. But they offer more bioactive compounds per gram than nearly any nut or seed. For anyone over 60 looking to stabilize hormones, lower inflammation, and support both heart and gut, flax is a non-negotiable daily upgrade. Let's rewind for a second. You now know that cashews, peanuts, macadamias, and pine nuts, though common, carry risks that aging bodies can't afford: inflammation, drug interference, metabolic strain, and worse. But you also know the good news, that walnuts, almonds, pistachios, and flax seeds don't just sit in your pantry. They defend your brain, reinforce your bones, calm your blood vessels, and repair your gut, one serving at a time. This isn't about fear. It's about choosing smart fuel for a wiser body. And the science is clear. Tiny changes done daily compound into real protection over time. Now it's your turn. Which of these swaps surprised you the most? Which nut or seed are you cutting or adding starting today? Let us know in the comments. Your story could be exactly what someone else needs to hear. Tap the like button if you learned something new. It helps more people see content that actually helps them. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications, because next week, we're breaking down 5 vegetables that can reverse cognitive decline in seniors over 65, with data you've probably never seen. You have the knowledge. Now take the bite that builds a better brain, stronger heart, and longer life.